Okay, today I have been watching Hurricane Gonzalo basically being steered to make a direct hit on Bermuda, which it has now done. Today's October 17th, and it's the evening, and this is the first time that Bermuda takes a direct hit from a major hurricane since 1922. But what I saw today makes me think that it was steered to hit Bermuda. And that made me wonder, does the Chicago Mercantile Exchange sell hurricane futures contracts on Bermuda? So basically, if you go to the CME group and you type in hurricane in their search window, you get an auto-suggest list. This is the same documents that I read a week ago when I made the Extortion protection racket for Gulf Coast hurricanes video. But now when you click on these same things, it's page not found. In fact, if you go back to Google and use Google like I did a week ago, these documents, for instance this one I downloaded a week ago, CME Hurricane Index Futures and Options. That's why cities should be buying these hurricane futures. What do you get? Page not found. So in other words, all of the hurricane futures information has been scrubbed from the CME group, the public pages. And this made me think there's two possibilities. One, that they realize this is a corrupt market and that they are participating in gangster racketeering, extortion, fraud, if they continue to allow these trades. And I was very hopeful that that was the case, but then I looked, if you snoop around on their website long enough, you actually find their vendor list. And this is everything that Chicago Mercantile Exchange sells. And at the bottom of this big spreadsheet there's a weather tab, and if you search through you actually see literally hundreds of hurricane. They have heating degree day options for most big cities, cooling degree day options for the same cities, but the main thing is they are still selling hundreds of hurricane options. Here is hurricanes, Cat in a Box, Galveston to Mobile. So this is basically covering New Orleans. This is the Katrina extortion racket. And just literally hundreds of these hurricane options are available for purchase for these by these Gulf Coast cities, which never pay off because the HAARP transmitters will not permit a hurricane to hit while they're being paid the protection money. And there's also hurricane seasonal maximum, hurricane seasonal event second, seasonal, and then you get into rainfall and snow options. So in other words, this CMA group product name list means that they are still selling hundreds of hurricane options. So my hopes that they would actually stop this corruption were dashed. And now let me show you why I think that Hurricane Gonzalo was steered to make a bullseye hit on top of Bermuda. This is the evening of October 17. Sorry, let me line this up better. Okay, and we can see that despite this island is really only like 20 miles across, and it's got just thousands of miles it could have hit, it has made an absolute bullseye direct hit on Bermuda. And that's because I believe it was steered this afternoon. If we look at now mid-afternoon picture, what we see is there is an area here. Here's a thunderstorm trying to pop up, and it's immediately crushed down by some descending air. So there is an area of sinking air here. And what that's doing is this dry air pressed down is going to wrap around to the east side of the storm. And having this warm, humid, moist air underneath dry air increases the convection. And that means that the east side of the eye wall of the hurricane has more convection than the west side, and that's going to try and pull this whole hurricane to the east, and that is what we see. And I think this is how they steered it to make a direct hit on Bermuda. So in other words, Bermuda doesn't pay the hurricane futures protection racket, so they steer a Category 3 hurricane, 140 mile an hour winds, directly on top of this tiny island. Again, the same thing is being done in Japan now. Japan has had typhoon after typhoon, direct hits, so probably CME next year will increase the number of available hurricane options that Japan can buy from, here's seasonal Pacific Rim for Japan, and they're limited to 2,500 contracts. Well, they are probably going to increase that probably to, I would just wild guess, 100,000 contracts next year. And everybody in Japan will max out buying this hurricane protection, and then next year there will not be any hurricanes. No typhoons will hit Japan. And that's how this protection extortion racket is being run. And again, they don't have any ground-based HAARP transmitters out in the Pacific, but they do have the SBX multi-megawatt X-band transmitter, which according to Billy Hayes, this is definitely one of the ways that they are now controlling these weather fronts. So this, unfortunately, is how it's being done. I mean, we have incredible corruption, and not only that, here is the CME group actively suppressing the public's ability to examine this corruption. So this means that someone at Chicago Mercantile is aiding and abetting this extortion racket, this protection gangster scheme. That's what it looks like to me. Now, the fact that the hurricane options were completely deleted from the position accountability limit list, the number of shares that an individual customer can own, still, I mean, we should be hopeful that they're actually getting out of this market that is so corrupt that they're going to just let all these options expire, all these contracts terminate, and delist everything. That would be so nice if they're actually going to do that, except, it's still on their vendor list as something that they're selling. And not just a few, hundreds of them. Hundreds of these hurricane futures and options. Hundreds of different flavors. And these have weekly expirations, monthly expirations. The weather futures market is $7 million a day. So they make a nice commission off of that. They have no motivation to stop this market. So now we see Japan being set up for extortion, and Bermuda being forced to pay the hurricane protection payment for next year. I just hope that someone can listen. Someone listening to this has the authority to investigate this corruption. That not only is this destroying our atmosphere, blowing it out to space, and increasing the deadly UV, but it's just completely wrong, and these are criminals. Criminals should not be running things. And it is amazing to me that one tiny nobody can make a YouTube video and then 1 week later, this billion-dollar CME group has deleted everything from their public server. That is amazing. That's an acknowledgement that they've been caught, that they now have something to hide. Well, I think that our CFTC regulators and FBI need to investigate these guys. You know, we're all being robbed. We're all being threatened by these gangsters. So that's my 2 cents. I mean, how much are we supposed to put up with, right? So you regulators out there, the onus is on you to do something about this. Why did CME Group delete all of the hurricane futures information? Okay? I mean, talk about, this needs to be public knowledge. If your city is paying millions of dollars in extortion every year to not have a hurricane have a direct hit, the public has a right to know that. What kind of a nightmare country are we living in? Okay, thanks for listening.